When Parasite released in 2019, it became a groundbreaking success. Many people praised it for its unique characters, fresh storytelling techniques, and unexpected plot twists. But what if I told you that the secret to Parasite's overwhelming success actually has its roots in traditional Gothic storytelling techniques? And Parasite is actually a quintessential Gothic story in a modern disguise. A big house, secret doors, hidden passageways, social decay, wealth disparity, tragic inevitability, and madness lurking under the surface. Parasite is Gothic storytelling 101 in modern-day Seoul, South Korea. Welcome to Between the Lines Books and Films. My name is Dylan, and I'm here to share my passion for storytelling with you by exploring iconic books and films. In today's video, I'll be talking about why Parasite is a perfect example of Gothic storytelling techniques in a modern setting, some of the ingredients that made it so successful, and ultimately how some storytelling techniques are so timeless and so relevant today that if used correctly, they can make something an instant classic. This will be a spoiler-heavy video, so if you haven't seen Parasite, I highly encourage you to stop the video immediately and go and watch it as fast as you can, because it's an amazing film. It's my absolute favorite, and if you haven't seen it, the first-time experience is truly like no other, and you have to go in with absolutely no knowledge, no spoilers allowed, because it's super unique, very memorable experience that I will never forget. And if you are sticking around, I'm assuming that you have seen Parasite, so please don't complain if I spoil anything. This is your final warning. I'm sure we've all heard of Gothic storytelling, and I assume the first thing that would come to mind would be foreboding, spooky, and a dark atmosphere. And although that would be an accurate description, there's many more ingredients and nuances that go into making a story truly Gothic. But there is one special ingredient, the secret sauce, that truly turns something into a Gothic story, and that is called the Sublime. Very mysterious name, I know. But basically, the Sublime is a complicated feeling that's difficult to explain. It's a mixture between awe and terror, something so powerful and overwhelming that goes beyond the realms of regular understanding or comprehension that it leaves one paralyzed at both the beauty and horror of something. This, in my opinion, is the most important aspect of Gothic storytelling, and all the other components kind of combine together to reach this sensation of the sublime. But you don't just come straight out of the gate with awe and terror, you have to build your way up to it, and that's where all the other components of Gothic storytelling come into play. And before I break down these ingredients, I will say that not every Gothic story contains all of these components. I don't believe in following a formula for any type of storytelling. If something is formulaic, you can usually tell. I don't believe there's an instruction manual for writing or any other type of storytelling, and if someone tells you otherwise, they're usually lying to you or trying to sell you something. Having said that, there definitely are different styles of narratives, and there are ingredients that go into these styles. And in Gothic storytelling's case, there's certainly some reoccurring components that do appear in many different stories and films. So let's go through some of these ingredients and show why Parasite is an example of Gothic storytelling in a modern setting. Many Gothic stories explore the idea of wealth and the effect it has on people's beliefs, motives, and their actions. Parasite introduces us to two very different families. The Kims, an impoverished family living in a semi-basement flat, barely scraping by and surviving on basically any work that they can find. Then we have the Park family, and they're basically the polar opposites of the Kims, financially secure, extremely successful, and living in a very wealthy neighborhood. Both the parallels and the opposites between the two families couldn't be more apparent. I'm just going to preface this by saying I am going to talk about some of the characters, and I will use their names, and I'm so sorry if I butcher any of the pronunciations, but I'll try my best. I would rather give it a go, and hopefully I don't completely screw up. So the story of Parasite is set into motion when Kim Ki-woo's friend Min-hyuk gifts the Kim family a scholar's rock, which in Korea often symbolizes wealth or good fortune. This marks another aspect of Gothic storytelling, which is the idea of fate and a sense of inevitability. Gothic stories are full of omens and symbols, acting as a kind of premonition pointing towards what is to come. Min-hyuk is leaving to study abroad and wants to entrust his previous job as an English tutor in the trusted hands of his childhood friend, And this job involves Kim Ki-woo working for the Park family as the new English tutor, and in order to do this he has to invent a new persona to fool the family into giving him the job, because he hasn't passed the university entrance exam and he's obviously currently unemployed. He's not really the ideal candidate in a traditional sense in modern society in South Korea. And this leads us to another aspect of Gothic storytelling, which is secrecy. This is a really important aspect of leading us up to that sensation of the sublime in Gothic storytelling, because the moment that we can accept the fact that a character is capable of hiding secrets and deception, or putting on some kind of mask, the suspension of disbelief is lifted, where subconsciously we're more open to the idea of larger secrets and larger twists to come in the story. With the help of his sister, Kim Ki-woo masquerades as Kevin, a prestigious university student from Yonsei University. Ki-woo visits the Park household and manages to secure his role as the new English tutor. And this segues really nicely into the next point, which is the mansion. Many Gothic stories revolve around one specific location, often a big, mysterious, spooky house with lots of secrets. And in Parasite's case, the Parks live in a huge, luxurious house in a wealthy neighborhood on top of a hill, which is designed by a famous architect. This gives the house a mysterious persona and a sense of pathos. Many houses in Gothic storytelling often act as a kind of character, and they're generally isolated from the world around them. In this case, the Parks live in the Songbuk-dong neighborhood, atop a hill surrounded by trees and nature, and you rarely get a glimpse of the neighboring buildings or other houses in the area, which makes the Parks household feel extremely secluded and extremely isolated from the world outside, creating a bit of a sense of isolation, which on one hand can be quite relaxing and serene, but you could also imagine it being a little bit spooky and a little bit foreboding. The next portion of the story sees the Kim family slowly integrating themselves into the Park household, with Kim Ki-woo's sister, Ki-jung, getting a job as the art therapist for the Park family's son. The Kims are now fully committing to the idea of infiltrating the Park household, and in order to obtain higher rewards, they have to be willing to take higher risks. And this is where things really start to take a turn. It starts with Ki-young, the daughter, framing the chauffeur driver of some pretty sinister and malicious behavior in the car, leading to her father replacing the role as the driver of the Park family. So this shows that the Kim family are slowly becoming more susceptible to the idea of throwing other people under the bus to achieve their goals. But things take a really serious turn when they devise a plan for Chung-suk to replace the housekeeper Moon-gwang by taking advantage of her very serious peach allergy. And now the Kims are fully willing to potentially put someone in a dangerous situation with their health and their allergies, and potentially put someone in physical harm in order to get what they want. And this is another theme of Gothic storytelling: social decay, the degradation of one's morals and beliefs. Things are becoming riskier and more dangerous. The law of opposites says that every problem has an equal and opposite solution. This makes the feelings of secrecy and inevitability and fate continue to bubble up to the surface. We get the sense that this isn't something the Kim family can turn back from. It's a point of no return, and it's not sustainable, and sooner or later something's gonna snap, and boy oh boy, it does. The intensity of secrecy, the idea of fate, and the suspension of disbelief has been raised to such a high level that now the audience is finally ready for that secret Gothic sauce, the sublime. A little dash of awe and a little smidgen of terror. And precisely halfway through the movie, exactly at the midpoint, when the Park family go away for a camping trip, the Kims are celebrating in the lounge. They're living it up. They've raided the fridge, they've ransacked the liquor cabinet, and they're having a little party amongst themselves to celebrate their rise to power and the prophecy of the scholar's stone becoming true. They've acquired wealth, they've turned their fortune around. But everything changes when suddenly Moon-gwang, the previous housekeeper, shows up in the middle of a storm, and it looks like she's been physically beaten or she's had some kind of accident on her face, and she wants to come inside the house. She tells them she's forgot something. And this is where the sublime starts to enter the equation. Moon Gwang reveals that this entire time, without anyone knowing, there's actually been a secret extra floor beneath the basement level where her husband has been hiding. And we learn that Moon Gwang and her husband have been having some trouble with loan sharks and debt collectors, so this is their last resort. This reveal is absolutely terrifying, yet we can't help but being in awe and kind of excited by the unexpected turn of events. If you're like me and went into this movie blind, this twist absolutely caught me off guard, and it was completely wild and unexpected. I was delighted, but the sensation I got from watching it 100% was a mixture between awe and terror, and that is Gothic Sublime 101. I've never said Sublime so many times. I feel a bit strange saying it over and over again. And this marks the absolute point of no return in the story. There's no coming back from this. You can't have this information revealed to you and just go on living life as normal. And you certainly can't continue your plan. And this just increases that sensation of premonition and the inevitable tragedy that awaits the Kim family. Another aspect of many Gothic stories is the idea of the ghost. And this is often the next step of the suspension of disbelief, when the audience is kind of susceptible to the ideas that, that there's even more secrets under the surface. And it sounds weird, but that's kind of like a logical stepping stone. It's like, alright, if there's secrets and there's spooky stuff and plots and dark things going on, then there must be some ghosts around as well. And although there isn't anything directly supernatural in Parasite, they do use the flashback of the Park family's son. The night after his birthday party, he goes down to the kitchen to enjoy his cake, which looks absolutely delicious. I 100% would do the same thing. When he looks towards the basement and he sees Moon Gwang's husband coming up the stairs, and he's just poking his eyes out from the top level. From a child's perspective, 100% this looks like some monster or some ghost, and it's absolutely terrifying. The image of Moon Gwang's husband with his eyes glowing in the darkness, poking his head out from under the stairs. I'm honestly getting chills speaking about it right now. It was such an amazing moment, and it's ingrained in my head, and it was just such a special experience seeing that for the first time. It was truly terrifying. And at this point, the story truly descends into madness, and the idea of the sublime takes full control over the momentum and trajectory of the rest of the story. Things have become so intense, so violent, and so shocking that the characters start to turn to violence and irrational behavior, and things become truly disturbing. At this point in the story, following the momentum of the reveal, the intensity of the storm outside increases, becoming a terrible flood, which is another trait of Gothic storytelling. Many of these Gothic stories, as I said, take place in large houses or mansions, isolated from the world, isolated from society, and often nature becomes a character itself. And Parasite is no exception. The Park family, being atop a large hill, are barely affected by the storm, with the water kind of rolling off the hill down towards the lower levels of the city. However, the Kim family's semi-basement house is basically completely flooded and practically destroyed. Nature in Gothic storytelling definitely acts as a kind of character as well, contributing to that sensation of the sublime. Because nature often does behave beyond the realms of human understanding, it can be completely terrifying and awesome. Nature is cool, it's spooky as well. Like I said, the momentum of this turn of events carries the story towards its tragic ending. There's no coming back from something like this. And in a sense, the Scholar's Rock did act as a kind of prophecy, because the Kim families did achieve their goal. They gained wealth, but they couldn't possibly have imagined the course of events that would follow. In fact, the Scholar's Rock is literally used as a weapon by Moon Gwang's husband, symbolizing the tragic and inevitable fate. In some sort of cosmic irony, I could easily sit here for hours ranting about how much I love Parasite and all the things that the movie does incredibly well, because like I said, Parasite is my favorite movie. The first time I saw Parasite was like nothing else. I woke up really early one morning before work, and I was very sleepy, and I turned it on, and it changed my life. It was magnificent. And if I could hop in a time machine again and travel back to that first time viewing, I would do it in a heartbeat. It was one of the greatest movie watching experiences, and I've watched it multiple times since with other people, and it's been equally special watching their first time experiences and their reactions to those unexpected twists and moments in the film. But those are just some of the elements that make Parasite, in my opinion, a perfect example of Gothic storytelling in a modern setting. And this isn't to say that Parasite isn't unique in any shape or form. It really is very unique. But what I wanted to do with this video was highlight some of the techniques that this story uses and how, in my opinion, they kind of come from Gothic storytelling. And it just proves why not only Gothic storytelling, but many traditional storytelling techniques are still relevant today. And I find it really inspiring and thought-provoking that humans are basically still dealing with the same core problems, and we still have the same worries, fears, and concerns, and we'll continue to have those same worries, fears, and concerns well into the future. And that's why stories are important. So what do you think? Are there any elements of Gothic storytelling that I missed in this video? Are you as much of a fan of Parasite as I am? Let me know in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Please feel free to leave a like, a friendly comment, or subscribe for more.
Respect!
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.